All right, it is 12 days to the commencement of the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar. And of course, we can smell what is cooking in the Middle East. I hope you are also getting ready. Wherever you are joining us from across the world, this is Niger Spartans from Daily Countdown. And my name is Oluwafemi Ashaolu. Kado Gundare and James Agberebi, of course, they joined via video. Unfortunately, we'll be doing this away from the studio today, but of course, we are still doing it in whichever way. Kayode and James, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you, Femi. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Femi. Always a pleasure being on the show.
All right, okay. So let's get started. We've been talking about or anticipating the provisional list of the Black Stars by Otuado, and of course, the list is finally out, and we have 3 home-based players. Daniel Afriye, of course, Danny Kosa, and of course, Danladi, the Kotoko goalkeeper, they're included in the list. And of course, also last week, Dr. Koto Krafu, the GFA president, he presented the budget, the Black Star budget to the Ghana Parliament. And of course, that has got a lot of people talking in Ghana because the budget only stopped at the semi-final. So the question has been that, so no one is anticipating that Ghana will even qualify for the final. So we'll be looking at that today on the show. And of course, finally, we'll take a trip to Cameroon, where, remember last week we talked about the kit controversy. Now FIFA has intervened, and FIFA has, of course, the decision by court, a commercial court in France, has mandated the FECAFOOT to return to the original agreement it had with a French outfit. I'm talking about Le Cog Sportif, that they should make sure that Indomitable Lions of Cameroon wear kit manufactured by Le Cog Sportif at the World Cup. Meanwhile, the FECAFOOT is already in partnership with the American kit company. So they of course, the Cameroonians, they're risking being thrown out of the 2020 FIFA World Cup because FIFA has said they will go with the decision of the French court. So these are what we'll be looking at on the show today. Remember, it's 12 days to the commencement of that tournament. Kayode, I'll get started with you before I come to James. Right. We've been anticipating this, of course, the 55-man list, the professional squad, and now it is here. 5 home-based players. Remember, you and I talked about it a lot last week, and right here it is here. 3 home-based players, though we are not sure because we have 5 goalkeepers on it, and of course, 2 has to be dropped for the other 3 to go. But at least we have 3 home-based players in it. How does that make you feel?
Well, it is a pretty fair list, considering all the interests that we've talked about, everybody wanting their player to be there. And for me, I think Otuado has tried within his best to please everybody without displeasing himself. Of course, this is a 55-man list that's still going to be thrown down to the final 2026. So I'm waiting to see that final list. There is no going to be any player outside this short list that will make the final list. And from what we've seen, there's no player that has been left out now. So the main surprise will come when the final list is released. That's what everybody is looking out for, including myself.
Okay, James, we saw the return of Jeffrey Schlupp, the Crystal Palace midfielder, who has been on a 1-year induced maybe absenteeism from the Black Stars. But we, of course, we have all the regular guys in the show. I'm sure you've seen the list. And what is your impression about at least the professional list? What is your impression about it?
Well, a pretty good list. All the guys who made the list, they are guys who we believe that will be in the provisional list, and good one. And I'm so happy that we used to discuss about Otuado including home-based players in the team, and luckily we have 3 home-based players. Whether they will now make the final cut for the World Cup, that's another another issue entirely. And like I said, it's a good one. I remember in 1994 when the Super Eagles went to the World Cup, we went with the late Thompson Olia at the World Cup, and he even got to play against Italy. So it's always a good thing when you have guys like this. I mean, it goes to show that the league has talented players who can hold their own. I just hope they make the squad, even though they are not going to play. But that feel of as an home-based player when you go to the World Cup, I mean, have that feel. You might not play, but at the long run, I mean, it's going to serve the player and the national team at the long run. We all remember Ronaldo at the 94 World Cup, 17 he never got to play. But we also what happened. Here, Brazil to win the World Cup 2002. So it's a good list. The usual suspects are there. And let's just hope that at the end of the day, when Ottawa is going to prune down the list, that is going to be the expected guys, the players who will do well for Ghana, because they can't afford to go to World Cup and have a repeat of what they did in 2014. Because all eyes are on them now. Everybody is backing them and hoping that they will do Africa proud. And let's just hope that they don't disappoint.
Okay, James, I'll still come back to you. Kayode, let's talk about the budget. You know, I like talking about money. You remember that the budget for the World Cup has also been a source of debate in Cameroon. I remember that Senegal, who budgeted $21 million to prosecute the World Cup, has also been no making tongues to wag. But let's talk about the budget. Last week, Friday, Dr. Koto Kraku, the GFA president, he presented the Black Stars budget to the Ghanaian parliament. And according to him, the qualification, they received $15 million from FIFA. Then the group stages, they're going to receive $9 million to prosecute the 3 matches. Then round of 16, they will get $13 million. Then for the quarterfinals, it will be $17 million. And for the semifinals, it's going to be $42 million. And in all, if you look at it, according to him, the Black Stars will be spending something in the region of close to $40-something million for the World Cup, because estimated expenditure that the images that I have there, according to what I got from the GFA Twitter handle, the group stages is going to be $8.1 million. The round of 16 is going to be $8.7 million. Then for the quarterfinals, it will take them $9.5 million to prosecute, and the semifinal, of course, $14.1 million. And Ghanaians are saying, so you are not praying that, or you're not anticipating that we could even get to the finals, because the budget for the World Cup stopped at the semifinals. What do you think?
I think they're just being realistic. It's easier for them. I'm playing the devil's advocate.
You share the same.
Yeah, it's easier for them to say 40 than to say 50 as the final figures. See, nobody is saying Ghana cannot go all the way. If they get to the final, fine. You just make allowances in the budget. It doesn't mean the fact that the budget has not gone that far. It does not mean they are not thinking ahead. What I think, and like I said, I'm playing the devil's advocate, is that they're just trying to be careful, keep the figures down, because for me, the kind of screaming that people will do when they hear 40 million is not the same as when they hear 50-something million. So that's why they're just deciding to keep it like on saner levels. So for me, everybody wants them to get to the finals. If they do, it will be a great occasion for Africa. But I don't want all these little pockets of distractions to overtake and overwhelm the campaigns. Let's get down to business. For me, the serious countries are already getting ready. They are not talking about budgets. Like James said the last time, why is it only in Africa that we keep arguing over everything as if we are going to buy tomatoes? Let's get serious. Let's get cracking. Let's get a very, very formidable team for the World Cup. Considering the economic situation in Africa, it is a real concern that we're spending so much money on the 1 month competition. But the fact is, it is what it is. It is the opium of the masses. It is what keeps us happy. That 1 month, I can tell you, will be 1 month of happiness for everybody, including us as Nigeria super fans, because we are going to be with the fans all through each game. But like I said, if you're going to cook a good pot of soup, you must have a very deep pocket to cook the soup. So if you're going to have a very good performance at the World Cup, you have to be very, very prepared for it. So that's what I think at that point.
All right, James. If you look at it, according to the estimate from the GFA president to the Ghana Parliament, it looks like close to 100 million from qualifying for the World Cup and getting to the semi-final. It's a lot of money, but do you think the Black Stars can go all the way, even to the semi-finals? Like John Paisley said last week, Kayode and I discussing on the show, he said the Black Stars can even win this 2022 FIFA World Cup. So do you think that the Black Stars can go all the way, even almost up to the semi-finals?
Yeah, they can. They almost did it in 2010, so nothing stopped them from doing it this time. Like I always say, the most important thing is preparations, no distractions, because we all know what the team did at the last AFCON. They didn't do well at all, and they were able to salvage themselves with the World Cup ticket. So now is the time to support. This is not the time to start causing distraction, talking about money issue. You're going to the World Cup. Of course, you're going to spend money. World Cup is not a picnic. It's about money. All the big teams, the Brazil, the Germany, the Argentina, they spend big money. That's why.
If you spend money in picnic, if you go to picnic, you still have to spend money.
The way the whole thing is going about, that's what I said in our in our previous edition. That if you know that this thing, this World Cup that you're about to venture in, is going to go up a lot of money. That's what World Cup says. Even the host team the country that's going to host, you know how much they've sunk into this tournament. So if they're going to participate in the World Cup, you should know this is not the first time Ghana is going to the World Cup. They started going to the World Cup in 2006, and this is their 4th edition. So going to the World Cup, you have to spend money. You have to think about accommodation, transportation, and feeding, and every other thing. So it costs money. It's not child's play, And fine, you want to do well at the World Cup, but you're not ready to go down to do the hard work. I mean, it's not going to help do anybody any good. So they just keep that aside and prepare whatever. I believe that they can go far from this tournament. It's just about preparation, good team selection. That's just the whole thing. Because they almost got to the semi-final. So it's not as if Ghana are debutants. They've been to the World Cup before. They played. We also what they did in 2010. They're one of the best teams at that World Cup. So for me, this current, in fact, in terms of comparison, they might not be as close to the 2010 team. But they are talented players. They've been playing week in, week out with their club side. We've seen what they've been doing. So for me, they are good to go. And I just pray that they use that as a land friendly game to fine-tune whatever lapses in the team, that you go on and do Africa proud.
Okay, Kayode, lastly, on of course the point of discussion on our daily countdown for 12 days before the kick of the tournament. Remember, last week you and I talked about Cameroon in our last daily countdown. Cameroon, they are again at the risk of being thrown out of the World Cup. Initially, it was Tunisia, and we discussed that also last time when James wasn't around. Now, Fecafoot, they are in a serious trouble. Remember, we said they initially entered a sponsorship deal with Le Coq Sportif, and maybe due to what they claim to be maybe flagrant, not going in accordance with the agreement they had with the company refused to open stores, and of course, across Cameroon. So they went ahead. While that contract was still subsisting, they went ahead to enter a partnership with an American company. And now Le Coq Sportif went to a commercial court in France. And just on Friday, the court has ordered Fecafoot to return to honor that agreement it had with Le Coq Sportif. And FIFA has said they will go with the judgment of the court. Kayode, here we are again. Initially, it's still Tunisia, because up to now, we've got our fingers crossed as far as that issue in Tunisia is concerned. The government of Tunisia are yet to come out to clarify that statement. So people are saying they are still keenly watching what is happening there. Now it is Cameroon again. Kayode, Africa again in the eye of the storm.
You remember I said it last when we had this discussion. I said it's a very clean, straightforward and simple issue. You have a subsisting agreement with a party. You cannot go into a similar agreement with another party. Why is that first agreement is still subsisting? All you needed to do was to find a way to invalidate the agreement you have. And there must be a way you can go to arbitration to make sure that they are not living up to the terms of your agreement. You want this agreement to be scrapped. That should have been done before going into this. So even a neophyte who has never seen the four walls of a courtroom will tell you that this is what was going to happen to Cameroon. And I'm surprised that Eto'o and his people at Fecafoot do not seem to understand what is here. I'm not even advocating for Le Coq, whether they are right or wrong. But what I'm looking at is the agreement between both parties. So if that agreement is still subsisting, you cannot, just like you having gotten married, Femi, you cannot legally marry another wife until you have divorced the first one. It's not in the eyes of the law, you have committed bigamy, and that is punishable under the law. It is the same like this. Nobody is saying you must stick with Le Coq, but you must first invalidate the agreement you have with them before you can move on to your new lover. Nobody is saying you cannot have another lover, but you have to first invalidate this one. That's what they have not done. they can still do it, or do it because of the time between now and the World Cup. It could cause a lot of what they hold up and damages to them. So they should just allow the World Cup to go, then find a way to invalidate the agreement if they still feel like that. But for now, they should not raise the wrath of FIFA, because that would be like wasting a World Cup ticket for Africa. If they're not going to the World Cup, they could have allowed the other countries who are much more serious to do it. Cote d'Ivoire is there, Algeria is there. They could have allowed all those ones to go instead of trying to waste a World Cup ticket for Africa.
Okay, James, you remember 2002, as we round up now, remember 2002 when Cameroon stormed the World Cup with their sleeveless jersey, and it caused a lot of anger from FIFA because they were intimidating, of course, intimidating everyone at the tournament with their muscles. Now they are embroiled in another similar situation again, because, you know, like we said last week, they were saying that it is possible that while the players are wearing or donning the jersey manufactured by the American kit company, police have the right to invade and just say, no, you can't do this. Now Cameroon again, on issues that shouldn't be a problem at all, they are facing that situation again.
Well, like I always say, Africa. I mean, we always like to do things the other way around. The issue of that 2002, I think it wasn't as big as this, because what FIFA just asked them to do was to add a kind of a black ham to the sleeveless shirt, you know. So that was what they just did compared to what they wore on the 2002 AFCON in Mali. You know, well, in 1994, I mean, they were in all sort of crisis. That was why they kind of disgraced themselves in the US in 94. So, I mean, it's so unfortunate that this issue is coming. Just the World Cup is less than 20 days to go, and they are yet to settle themselves.
As a matter of fact.
Imagine, I mean, whose country going to the World Cup? Serious country. You now get engaged in one issue. That was the thing about African teams. And when they get to the World Cup, and they don't do well, they start trying to pinpoint unfair officiating. They don't like us. They don't want African teams to go far. Whereas you've already messed up everything before you left home. I mean, so they just have to put their house in order. Just like what Khalid said. I mean, you just have to wait after the World Cup. After the World Cup, you can go back and do whatever case or this be what you want to do. But for now, I mean, you sign the contract. You just have to honor your contract. Nobody say it's more than a cock must be the what is it called? You already signed the contract with them, so you just have to go ahead with it. So after the World Cup, you can do whatever you like, but now you have to honor that contract. I mean, I'm almost surprised that Samuel Eto'o, with all his experience, you know, playing in Europe and everything, I mean, he's now embroiled in such a messy situation. I mean, it doesn't go well. And if the care is not taken, we're going to continue to see things like this. Apart from this World Cup, we're going to see things where you sign a contract and you don't want to honor your contract. I mean, the way the other guys they operate is different from the way we do it here in Africa. The other team can just do things and get away with it. It doesn't work like that. There are laws that bind all these things. So they just have to get their acts together, because the way it's going, I don't see Cameroon doing well at the World Cup, but this is a big distraction for them.
You know, maybe Samuel Eto'o thought they could just go on loan to another kit company and say, okay, let's just get this done. Guys, thank you very much for coming on the show today. Of course, unfortunately, we had to do it virtually because we had to do, of course, we are not in the studio, but trust us, as Daily Countdown continue to progress, of course, we will be reaching you live from our studio. Kayode and James, thank you very much. So see you guys tomorrow when it will be just 11 days to the kickoff. So like I always say, the only thing we do better than other part of the world is to pray. So we are praying for Cameroon and Tunisia so that they will not, of course, call the wrath of FIFA as the tournament, of course, preparing. And of course, for coaches are lamenting, which is going to be another topic for another day, but coaches are lamenting that fixing the World Cup at this time of the season, it means that nobody's thinking about the players. But this is where we have to draw the curtain on our Daily Countdown to the tournament. So see you tomorrow where we'll continue our Daily Countdown. I remain Olafemi Ashalu. Bye for now.
All right.